What's going on, garden nerds? So the title of this video is Stop Feeding Your Trees. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you should not feed your trees. I always talk about feeding your trees and plants, right? But what I am saying and what I'm going to break down is stop with the mindset that you're feeding your trees and instead have the mindset that you are feeding the soil. Once I realized this and recognized this, that we want to feed the soil and not the trees, that's when I was able to grow so much more. So that's the purpose of this video, is to break down and help us understand that if we want healthy trees and plants, we need to focus on feeding the soil and not the trees. Once you have a healthy soil that you're feeding and it's full of life, suddenly you go from saying, I just don't have a green thumb, to, wow, I can grow almost anything. So let's talk about it, let's break it down, and then I'm gonna give you some examples in my yard. All right, so the first thing to touch on is trees and plants need more than just water. Where a lot of people go wrong from the very beginning is they think, I have this plant, I'm gonna put it in the ground, and all I have to do is give it some water every now and again, and it's gonna grow awesome, everything's gonna be great. No, this is not true. Just like you and I, trees need water, but they also need food. Where do they get that food? Where do they get those nutrients? Well, the majority comes from the soil. So trees can get some nutrients like carbon, oxygen, hydrogen from the air and from the water, but all the other nutrients that they need and that they feed off of comes from the soil. So we know that trees need potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen to grow, right? Those are three nutrients that they need, but they also need about 17 macronutrients to be able to grow healthy and strong. And again, all of those nutrients and macronutrients come from the soil. Now, how do we ensure that the soil has all of those nutrients ready for the trees? Well, we give the soil organic material. We feed the soil with dead organic material known as necromass. And this necromass, or this dead organic material, is what microorganisms and fungi love to feed off of. The more you give them, the more they grow, the more they multiply, and the healthier your soil becomes. So let's talk a little bit about fungi and what that looks like, or mycelium, which is a cool word. Google it, look it up, watch other YouTube videos. But what happens when you have a healthy living soil, which again comes from the dead organic material that you're feeding the soil, is this fungi or mycelium actually grows. It's like the internet, but underground. It's like this inner web that connects all the plants and trees and living things under the ground. Now we see it's a plant, it's a living organism. We see the fruits of the fungi or mycelium by the mushrooms that pop up above the ground, right? It's actually just kind of opposite. There's this huge mass system underground of fungi, and the fruit actually comes up from the ground, and that's what we see in mushrooms. So first of all, mushrooms are not bad. That means you have a healthy living soil if you see mushrooms. And what this fungi or mycelium does is it spreads under the ground. And again, this lives off of the dead organic material. So the more you feed it, the more it's going to grow. And this fungi attaches to the roots underground of your trees and plants. So it attaches to these roots, and then it comes over here and it attaches to these roots and these roots and these roots. So like I said, it's a huge interconnected web underground, and it's attaching to all the roots of all the different trees. And then what this fungi can do, it's been scientifically proven, is it can pass nutrients back and forth between trees and plants, even going so far as mother trees or larger trees that are more well established and have their roots spread out to be able to access more of these nutrients. They can pass nutrients from themselves underground through the mycelium network to younger trees that need certain nutrients, right? So the younger tree can send out a SOS or a call for help underground through this fungal network and say, hey, I need more of this or I need more of that, and it can be passed to these trees. So you can see how by feeding the soil more organic material, this fungal network and microorganisms can grow, they can expand, they can multiply, and they can create a living soil that always has the nutrients available to the trees. Then you don't have to worry, oh, when should I fertilize? You know, I always hear people say I have to fertilize every Valentine's Day and every Labor Day or Memorial Day, whatever it is. You technically don't have to do that if you always have an active living soil with all the fungal network and with all the microorganisms that are living. Then the nutrients are there and ready to feed your trees and plants whenever they need it. So a lot of people here in Arizona, I'm in the desert Southwest, a lot of people say we have crappy soil. We can't grow anything in our soil, we have crappy soil, right? It's real compact and it's clay-like. We actually don't have horrible soil, right? The Native Americans for hundreds of years before we came proved that. They farmed these lands and they were very successful farming these lands. What we do have is soil that is compact and chemically locked up. So all of these nutrients that the trees need is chemically locked up, and that's why we have this compact soil. But if we can simply get that soil to release and not be so compact, and we do that by feeding it organic material, then these nutrients can be available for trees to take up through their roots. So this is it, guys. That's all it takes to be able to grow most anything you want in your yard. Stop thinking about feeding the trees and start thinking about creating a healthy living soil, because once you have that, you can plop a tree down in the ground and all those nutrients are going to be ready and the tree will grow because it has all those nutrients at its grasp whenever it needs them, and it can connect to the living fungal network under the ground. So now I'm going to turn the camera the other way. I'm going to take you around my yard and show you what I do in terms of getting organic material onto the soil, and you can see the effects that it has had in my soil. You ready? Let me show you. Okay, so here you can see I'm under my mango tree. This is my sweet tart mango, and look at all of this dead organic material, this necromass. So I have Bermuda grass. People love to hate on Bermuda grass. I love it because it's a way for me to grow my own mulch and my own organic material that can feed the soil. So when I mow my yard, I throw down huge clumps or huge piles of yard clippings. This stuff will break down very, very quickly, especially in the summer when it's very hot. And I just pile this stuff around all of my trees. And I don't like to disturb the soil, but you can see down in here, this stuff holds in moisture. There's life in here. There's earthworms in here. There's other microorganisms. This is what a healthy soil looks like. Tons of dead organic material that is being broken down by living organisms within the soil. And here I am underneath my bamboo. You can see the bamboo right here. It sounds beautiful in the wind, but I allow all the leaf litter to fall down. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that tree's messy. It's not a messy tree. That's just a tree that's trying to feed the soil so it can be more healthy. So I don't care about quote unquote messy trees. I love messy trees because I allow all their litter to fall down and break down and to feed the soil. And I'll give you one more example here under this peach tree. If you look back in here, more organic material, more grass clippings, more bamboo litter, other leaves, whatever it may be. I simply just load the soil up with all of this stuff and then just allow it to break down over time. You can see it looks like that's some palm stuff, some vetiver grass, but you get in here and you can instantly see the life. It's just not earthworms, but it's tons of different microorganisms that are working together to create a healthy living soil. So remember, that's the difference, is creating a healthy living soil. Stop focusing on feeding your trees and start focusing on creating a healthy living soil. And soon you'll be able to grow whatever you want. You won't have a black thumb, you'll have a green thumb, because anybody can have a green thumb with a healthy living soil. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.